Welcome back to the Fuel Show and happy holidays. Still to come is our In the Pit segment. But now it's time for our second Behind the Wheel. Did you know that the #1 selling Volkswagen in the world was the Golf? In the US, you would have known it as the Rabbit. Now, there was a sports version of the Golf or the Rabbit. It was called the Volkswagen GTI. And that's what we're going to look at in our second Behind the Wheel. The big difference is this year it comes in a four-door. So here's Dennis and Ian with a first look at the 2007 Volkswagen GTI in a four-door.
Thanks, Nick. Now, Q Factor is the first score for the GTI four-door, and it's that direct shift gearbox that gives it a good score, I think.
Absolutely, it's all about it. I mean, the thing is, you got to look at it so advanced, it'll make you think there's something wrong with it. Now, my wife drove it. The first thing she said is there something wrong with the transmission? Now, I already knew, so I knew to look for it, but it'll actually let it roll back in neutral if you're on a hill, just like a manual transmission. And when you shift this thing, it will rev it all the way to the red line. It will hold it in the gear you want, and it is truly just like an anvil in the back of your neck.
3.75 for Q Factor for the GTI four-door. Curb Appeal's the next score for the GTI four-door. I really like the front end, not a big fan of the back end.
Well, I can go with it all the way around because, you know what, it's a good-looking vehicle that for once is useful. The way that they've taken a two-door GTI and molded it into a four-door body with really no glitches in the way that it looks different from the other car, but just a little bit longer. I think they did a good job of interpreting it into a four-door.
Yeah, and it's got a great stance, nice performance, 3.75. Performance is the next category for the GTI four-door, and it's a 2-liter turbocharged four-cylinder. It's got a lot of feel. Fun to drive, and it really is the definition of a GTI.
What you don't know is it took him 30 takes to get that out of his mouth. Now, I'm going to go past the horsepower and past how it feels. It is just that. It is so much more than the numbers, than the 0 to 60, than the horsepower. It is truly a great driver's car, and I'm going to give it high marks for just that reason.
Yeah, I think we have to go really high on this. It's exactly what it's intended to be, 4 for performance. Fit and finish is the next category for the GTI four-door. I love the interior. That plaid material is so cool.
Yeah, and I have to say that what makes a GTI from way back makes a GTI now. It's little things like what you just said, the plaid interior, the little rabbit on the back deck lid. I mean, I know we're talking about little things when it comes to fit and finish, but if you look at the way everything is melded together in one nice, I don't know if you call it a menu of items.
I think it's a cohesive package.
Wow, big words for Ian over there. And no, it didn't take him a bunch of takes to say it. Hey, listen, a GTI is put together well. Volkswagens make great cars, and we really like this.
Yeah, 4.5 on fit and finish. Drivability is the final category for the GTI four-door. And you take a GTI, you add 2 more doors, you make it more usable, yet still fun to drive. It's going to be a good score.
Unpin your auto.
I think you've nailed it. Now listen, when you're talking about this car, you have to look at the way that it was rated both by myself, Ian, and even my wife before. In the two-door fashion, it was usable, but remember, we have kids.
Not for a family.
No, it's not. My wife couldn't even get the baby seat in the back of the two-door. Maybe they were listening to her because I had to drive it all week. Boo-hoo. I had to drive the GTI two-door. But when the four-door came, guess what? I didn't get a lot of miles in that car for a good reason. You can use it as a family car. And on top of that, like you said, it's fun to drive. The DSG transmission, the great turbocharged motor, it's all a great package.
4.25 on drivability.
We just drop it like it's hot. V-Dub, representing Deutschland.
Let's see how Dennis and Ian scored the 2007 VW GTI in a four-door. For Q Factor, they gave it a 3.75. In Curb Appeal, another 3.75. In Performance, a 4.0. Fit and Finish was a 4.5. And finally, Drivability, a 4.25. The 2007 Volkswagen GTI four-door got 20.25 out of a possible 25. When fuel returns, we're going to be in the pit.